Exterminator. That is a T. Sorry, I was my eyes were failing me. Hi, Theranos. So we did take questions from y'all earlier, so we've got a lot to ask. But we're always open to taking questions while we're doing it too, if we can slip them in, if Tom's okay with it.
Of course.
I guess.
I unfortunately don't know when anything will release. They won't tell me, so.
That's true. He doesn't know those things.
Sadly, I do not.
I'm listening to this at work. Oh, well, welcome, Teddy. As you should. I do that too. Don't worry. Some of us need a little side stuff going on while we're working. Hi, everyone. Hi, YouTube.
I also have this on the side while I'm working. So it works out.
Hi, Twitch chat. Yes. Wait, are you working at the same time? That's incredible.
No. No. But that's because of internet constraints. My internet's not good enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, if for any reason we lose Tom today, y'all just know it's because his darn internet. But we've all been there, haven't we? Let's go. All right. Even his internet is jank. Yeah, you're right. Okay, cool. Well, it seems we've got a good group of people in here. Hi, everyone. Ooh, we're already getting questions. Hi, chat. Yeah. If you have a question, please put question around it if you can. Put question in brackets at the beginning of it. That would be amazing just to draw my eye because I'm looking at 4 chats today. Count them 4. So that would be really amazing. And with that, we'll get started. So for those of you who haven't been here before, welcome to the Fortnite Creator Fireside Chats, hosted by myself, Shane Callie. I'm one of the creator community managers over here on UEFN and Fortnite Creative for Epic Games. And I am joined by the renowned TomJank. Thomas Janky the first. Maybe the second. Actually, you're probably the first. You could, I don't know.
Prefer infamous to now.
I'm sorry. Infamous, as you can tell by the look on his face. Sorry to let you down, Thomas.
Thank
you. And welcome. Thank you for the time. As requested by the community. Last time we did a fireside chat here with Twin, I believe it was. People are like, what about the next guest? Like, I think it should be TomJank. TomJank, would you do it? And I think you were you even in chat, Tom? I can't remember. And everyone was just piling on.
I think I made it right at the end, unfortunately. Yeah. But yes, I think I saw that.
So we were able to get him. So thank you, Tom, for being open to taking part in our fireside chat. And then maybe at the end of this, we'll figure out who else we'd like to have on. But yeah, with that, yeah, let's get started. So for those of you who don't know Thomas Jankus, Thomas Jankus here is infamous in a lot of ways, but in the way that most of you will probably know is being on Twitter and posting really cool daily warm-ups, which are usually him trying to test the boundaries of UEFN by getting janky with it and creating really interesting things on the fly. But I'm not going to tell you how Thomas Jankus does this. TomJank, please, for our audience who might not know you, could you give us a little rundown on kind of your history, your backstory, the lore, rather, of TomJank? If your internet allows. Oh, no. Oh, no. We lost you. No. It's all one big conspiracy theory. Yeah, he's too jank that we... No. Can you hear me, Tom? Oh, we really lost him. Oh, no. I have him in Discord. Oh, he's back.
Oh, back. That
we
was
got
weird.
You. Feel free to turn off your camera on Zoom if you want, Tom, and we can just do audio if that works.
Okay. I will do that. I
You
don't know what happened there. Everything just decided to die, and then it all just back for no reason. Oh,
Did I lose you in
I don't
Discord too? Oh, I
know.
did. Oh no. Okay, here you are. I found you.
I don't know what's going on.
Don't worry, we'll get it going. We got
Um,
him. Oh, okay, I still got you in Zoom. Oh no. Maybe we'll have a phone call and we'll get janky with it and we'll put it in Discord. Oh, I miss
you can still hear
TomJank.
me.
I can hear you. We have to get you in Discord so the audience can see you too. Oh,
Zoom. Yeah.
you know what, Tom? Can you add yourself? I don't know if you can, but via phone in the Discord? It would be better than nothing, but maybe the I don't know if that would be better. Let me know. So if we could just get your like even mobile audio on Discord, that'd be awesome. I gave him permission, I swear.
Okay.
I love this for us.
Hello. Am I back?
Hello. Hello, you're back. I can hear you.
Am I back?
You are almost back.
Sorry. I don't know what's going on. I do disconnects and then reconnect right now.
I heard something about X. That's all I heard. Hold on, hold on. Someone give this guy an upgrade.
No.
Oh, bless. Hold on, hold on. Okay. I love the chaos of this. Thank you for tuning in.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hear
I
me
can.
now, I guess.
I can hear you.
Okay. I it seems to be working, I think. No. Okay.
Anyway,
I
about the
I'm
lore.
TomJank. I, I'm TomJank, and everything is janky. So I landed into Fortnite when I from Pixar Animation Studios. I've been working there for about a year, and then Disney was having struggles and decided to lay off some of the newer people. So I started working on. I've always wanted to make games. Like I've always thought about making games, but I never did. And so this was an opportunity to be like, I'll try making some games. So I started working in Game Maker originally, and started on Twitter. That was the first time I actually used Twitter even, and just started posting things, and they never got any traction whatsoever. And then I UEFN came out, and I was like, oh, I'll try this. I actually have with Unreal Engine from before Pixar. I was an intern, like
Oh.
6 years ago for a game called Hogwarts Legacy. Only work that I did that made it to the game was the potions room cinematic.
Oh,
But
cool.
from that, I knew really. From that, I knew really well the camera sequencer, and so I started doing.
Yeah.
That was kind of the core of the jank at the beginning of UEFN, because the
Nice.
sequencer could be used to like do a little bit more than normally does.
Oh no, I lost you, Tom. Tom.
So then,
Oh,
wait,
there you are.
are we back?
I
Am I
think
back
so.
now?
I think so.
Okay.
Bless.
So I basically I posted on Twitter. It did surprisingly well. Started getting DMs. People wanted me to make stuff for them. They wanted to pay me actual real money, and I blinked and I became a Fortnite developer, UEFN developer. So I
Oh.
said yes, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here speaking to all of you in my janky robot voice sometimes.
I love that. Thank you so much for doing that for us and sharing your experience. So, yeah, so some really, really cool stuff in there that hopefully, I know with the tech stuff that we have set up, I can't hear on the Discord side, but hopefully y'all can hear him pretty good. Let us know if you're having issues hearing him on the Discord. But thank you for sharing that super cool stuff, super cool experience, definitely a unique story. So thank you to all who asked some really interesting questions about Tom's background as it relates to being a developer and Fortnite creator today. So super cool. So to kick it off then, because we don't know how long we have, Tom. So I might as well just jump right in. Um, so as you mentioned, Tom, you've transitioned from working at major studios like Pixar and Netflix and even for big gaming studios to becoming a solo creator in the Fortnite community. What was the most challenging part of that transition specifically? And how did your experience in the film and game industry influence your work in UEFN?
Yeah, so for me, kind of the big difference between working in film and games, especially in this space, it was a pacing difference. What
Mm,
in one level we in one level in at Pixar, when you're making an animated film, you have 5 years. You're working
mhm,
on something for a very long time. And so for me, it became trying to get used to this new pace, because in a way, especially right now with Discovery and things like that, I've it's kind of feels almost content creation in a way that there are these trends and you got to pay attention to everything that's going on, where in animation I'm kind of just in a bubble working with the people at the studio to make a film that's going to come out in 2 years. And you're not really worrying about what's happening right now everywhere, just kind of in here. And so here it's a whole different level of like I'm paying attention to Twitter, Discord. I just have so much. I'm more connected with both the other creators and the players as well.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, like way more community based.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Interesting. And overall, yeah, much, much faster, which I think everyone here can agree. Especially I think that is a big difference. Also, I know UE devs in chat, from what you've experienced, and then creators in chat, the timelines are much, much, much different. And that is one of the bigger differences there. So that's super helpful to hear. And then I guess in terms of like the way it's influenced your work in UEFN, are there things that you've learned or taken from your experience in those industries and kind of brought that over into the work that you do in UEFN?
Yeah, definitely. There's a certain honestly, I think what I did, because what I did at Pixar actually, I was a camera and
Oh yeah.
staging. So mine
Mm-hmm.
was all cinematography, and
Mm,
things like that. And so that actually probably more helped me in the marketing aspect of it all. Like I
right.
I I understand just from the experience of working in animation, like I have that eye to see what I think is good. I have
Mm,
like I just have that kind of taste developed so that I know I have this like from like Pixar working through there. I know it looks good. I can't always hit what looks good. I'm not always the best artist, but I at least know where I want it to be. And so I feel like that's really helped me be able to make presentation and make things stand out, in a way that I kind of that I feel kind of helps me a lot, especially when it comes to the marketing my stuff.
yeah, yeah. We were just looking at the trailer for Dream Job Tycoon, which congrats on your launch on that, Tom, and
Like
is
it,
recognizing how the trailer is so, so, so cool. And everything you've kind of put into the aesthetics of that island as well. Um, it's very theatrical in and of itself, but I understand definitely when you have as many skills as you do in a creative industry, it's really great to utilize those. And I hope everyone here does who has like I hope in the skills that you have outside of game development, outside of creativity that you do when you're, just doing your hobbies and things like that, your interests, you're pulling that into the experiences and games that you make as much as possible because that's what makes you really, really unique and stand out, just like you're saying, Tom. Um, and uh,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
you'll never regret you'll never regret learning a new skill. Like you never know how it'll connect back into what you do. For example, some jank lore from even before animation came into it. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, and so I spent all high school like doing public speaking things, doing like mock trial and debate and those sort of things. And
Yeah.
that has helped me immensely throughout animation and this space that's generally more like I'm an introvert, but I can at least pretend to be more of an extrovert because of those things like that. And so,
Wow.
uh, like you never know where a skill will cross over really well.
That's really cool. What an interesting lore. Yeah. Now you make it. Now I wish I'd done debates because I wish I could put thoughts better together when I'm speaking. Hopefully that comes across in these anyway that I'm doing okay there. But since I'm doing this, but yeah, I think that's so cool. And then you talked a bit about the moment that it clicked for you and you were like, oh my gosh, I can really do this. Um and you mentioned that there was that moment realizing it when Fortnite island building was one of your new creative passions. I guess what drew you to verse scripting specifically and the tycoon and simulator genre, which I know you're focused on a bit more.
Yeah, I'm that comes more from my own. Oh, can you hear from the kind of games I really play? Like, I really enjoy idle and incremental type games, ones that are deep and they're kind of like and like satisfactory is one, and then kind of weirder ones that are like
Oh, we're losing you,
that I
Tom.
really enjoy. Those kind of leading.
Oh, we lost you, Tom. I think I don't know. Poor Tom. Maybe a
Verse
reschedule. It's Tom's internet. Max, we're trying. We're trying for Tom.
like oh no, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. Someone said he is lagging. I think he's trying to mine Bitcoin at the same time. Oh my. Tom, can you hear
All right,
me?
I'm back. Hello, I can
Oh,
hear you.
hello.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
good. Sorry. We
All
missed
right, we're
we
back.
missed your inspiration that when you were listing off inspiration, we didn't hear I don't think any of it. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
okay. That's okay. No, like I really enjoy games like Satisfactory or Factorio.
Mhm. Mhm.
But also I really enjoy like these like old Flash games that are really big in on like
Oh
Congregate
yeah.
was one of them, where I would play a ton of like incremental games, really enjoyed. And I always wanted to kind of make those sort of games. And so I'm attempting, I haven't gone full in some of the ideas that I have, but soon I hope so when I have time for the next project always. Um but with verse specifically, really I don't really consider myself a programmer. Like that's like I consider myself just a problem solver, and verse is just one of those things that I use in my tool belt to kind of do what I want, because I see something and it's like, okay, I want to be able to do that, but we can't really do that. How can I create a jank thing that can fulfill that mechanic I want to do?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and that's definitely help. I'm so glad we have you back, Tom, by the way. I can hear everything you're saying. Yay, yay, we
Oh,
have
good.
you. No, but that's super cool. Well, we're really excited to
Sun
see
the sun is
what you come up
rotated
next.
around. We're good.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And also, if anyone has any questions for Tom, let us know in chat. We can try and snag those while we have him as well. But yeah, no, that's super helpful and insightful in that way as well. That you mentioned. Um, Here's the part I'm really excited to talk about. We talk a lot about creativity when you and I spoke. And you've mentioned that you love kind of being in charge and taking control of your own creative destiny. Can you kind of walk us through your creative process when you're starting a new island or a warm up?
Yeah, pretty much. I have a notebook and an iPad that I'm always scribbling ideas, or my phone putting notes and things like that. And so I have like just like tons of random notes and plans and ideas that I have. And so usually it starts there, and usually one idea starts to kind of rise up and gets in
Mm,
my head. Usually it's during the end of another project,
mm.
and I
Yep.
procrastinate that project with this new one, is usually what happens. Um, and so I have this idea, and then usually I break it down into figuring out what I mean. There's like there's often talk about like the primary gameplay loop, like what is the player doing most, and that kind of like that rotation of actions that they're doing. I kind of
Mhm.
break it down and see, okay, what do I think? Can we do all these things in UEFN? If we can't, is this a cool warm up that I can do that will surprise people that we can like try to do? For example,
Yeah.
like I made a Fortnite football a while
Yeah.
ago,
Hmm.
and that actually came from me because I also made a game called Dino Merge, and I'm working a sequel for that. So I
Oh,
wanted,
cool.
if there's a way to pick up like the dinosaurs that would feel good in UEFN and like move them around. And when I did, it kind of felt funny. Like I could like, throw them, and it felt like kind of like a ball. And then I was like, oh, I tried making it like a soccer warm up, and that just kind of kept
Oh,
going till it started to become an actual like island. And so by do like it's like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. I should keep messing around with this to see if I could actually make a map. And like
yeah.
because of those like line of experiments, Fortnite football is probably like my most successful like solo island that I made by myself. And so
Mm.
that one it's cool to kind of see that line, because I posted these warm-ups and like see the line as it develops into an actual game.
Cool. I was wondering because we have a bunch of examples of that have happened internally as well with the teams that do kind of similar to what you do, or we kind of push the tool to its limit and see like what cool stuff you can get done. And they do the same thing. They're like, "Oh, well this then turned into this, then turned into an island all of its own." So I think there's a lesson to be had there. It sounds like, right, Tom, with like experimenting quite a bit to help you with your overall career
Yeah.
and success when you're doing this. That's so cool. All right, I'm waiting.
Yeah. I mean, it
Okay,
helps
cool. I want to make sure I still had you.
me when I'm working on a really long project to like
Yeah.
I really like, especially when I take a couple hours to experiment when during a big project, because you can often get into like a rut with that project and get you just start to kind of get drained a bit on these long projects. And so when you work on a little warm up, not only is it like just kind of refreshing to do, it can
Mhm.
actually you can like realize things in your big project. Oh, I should be doing it this way, or because when you're making big projects, you're wanting to like set up these systems that you're gonna have to redo and create over like build upon. And by doing experiments, you can kind of test it before fully building it out into something someone's actually gonna play.
Right. Right. Absolutely. How many people in chat? How many people have you have experimented with things just to see what you can do um to just see what the tools are capable of. I know UE community, you've also dealt with this as Unreal Engine evolves and expands too over the years, especially a lot of you that have been around a long time. I'm seeing a lot of love in chat for you, Tom, and trying to start a GoFundMe for your internet. That's very kind. That's very a lot of people very passionate about it. Just to make sure they can hear you. I feel like we've also got someone in who said if he had a perfect voice stream, he wouldn't be Jank. And that's true. That is part of the lore, I feel like, definitely. A lot of love over on UE YouTube as well. Thank you. A lot of emotes. Cool. But yeah, how many people have tested things? How has it been working? You love to experiment. Oh, that's great. I tend to experiment until I break it. You know what? That's as you should. As you should, absolutely. Um, I also have one other question in relation to that, Tom. How do you kind of balance that creative freedom and the creativity that you're trying to achieve and the tools that are available today? I know we kind of talked lightly about it, and you mentioned it was a bit of it was definitely a positive thing because you're like, man, if I had the ability to do anything and every world, like we were talking about everything, anything. What was it? Oh my gosh, anything everywhere all at once. I was talking about that earlier today. Um, if you had the capability to do everything, then it almost gets overwhelming sometimes. I feel like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to see the difference between like with this UEFN from working in like something like Maya or for just for purposes where there's so much freedom and there's so many years and years and years of plugin and backups. It's been really fun to work in UEFN in that way that there isn't all that support, so it's all kind of fresh ground, and it's like problem solving. Like that's how I feel in my brain, like a Sudoku puzzle when I'm trying to solve. It's like, okay, do I need to use a prop to make this work, or should I use a weird material node that no one knows about? And it's just kind of playing around and trying to see what's the best thing to do. Really, when it comes to balancing creative freedom and like the tools that are available, the limitation just comes from just experimenting. You might it's unfortunate when you hit a point when you can't really do the thing in the same way, but in when you're doing that you learn other weird janky things that can occur or other odd and ends that you're like, oh, this could be a solution to a different problem later down the line. It's just that skills in that will help you randomly at the end of the day.
Cool. Okay, so we definitely have a theme here. So that's really good to hear. Really good to hear. So when it comes to building out experiments, Tom, um, and it comes to kind of thinking on, oh, what can I do? Can I make this happen? Will it break? What will happen? Um, how do you, when you're just in the editor and you're starting something, do you kind of just let it go wherever it ends up? Do you have like an actual detailed plan in place, or is it just clicking around, an idea comes to you and you just kind of keep adding on top of that?
Most of the time it comes from I have a specific goal in mind. Like I've played a game or I've seen a movie, a clip. For example, there was this funny clip of the Yakuza games where it's like they're running towards traffic and they're trying to dodge each of the train. So I have that as the example. I'm like, okay, how do I get that, but do it in Fortnite? And like, what do I need to do? And then it just comes from having that in mind. And it's like, so for example, I at the time I couldn't really animate the character, so I just used a player reference device and made him fall over. And so it's like,
Mm,
where are you accepting a compromise? Which is why I enjoy my Jank brand because it's just like
yeah.
that's inherent. You just when you go into something I'm making, you kind of accept that there's going to be a little jank, but that can be
Mhm.
fun and that will allow like you to open like people to just like open up to more interesting things to occur. Like I'm working hard to try to like have that innovation and the weird be fun,
Yeah.
not just like off-putting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's super helpful. Thank you for elaborating on that. Um, and like we mentioned before, your janky experiments on Twitter are a big hit with the community and us over here too. It's always cool to see kind of the stuff that you're doing. And honestly, for those of you out there who are experimenting, I know we talked about this. I think it was with Wirt Andrew as well in our fireside. Um, I know they were encouraging it. I assume you would encourage it, Tom, to post the things that you're making. Um, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but it feels like it's a great way to connect with the community, but it's also a great way for companies, not just us, but other people to recognize your talent and your skills. I've heard things about, I know there's like a verse community where, they'll see people who are just making really cool things on the internet, and those are the kind of people they'll reach out to say, hey, like, you're really doing a lot there, or you're really making something cool. We'd love to bring you on. Or even teams will be looking for people like that, right? In any
Yeah.
way, whether it's your design, right, Tom, whether it's videos you're editing, whether it's any creative efforts, really. I know that things can get where you're like, oh, I don't want to share my idea that's coming out so soon. But I feel like between you, Tom, and Wirt, and I know there's some individuals out there I see on the daily basis where there's one offs of people creating stuff and sharing it. when you're sharing things like that and being strategic about how you share it, I feel like it comes with a massive benefit to not only your career, the community, getting your name out there and your branding as well.
Yeah, I honestly was really surprised at how well this has kind of worked out. Twitter, I wouldn't say Twitter's the greatest place for like finding players them to your map. For me, Twitter has been a phenomenal like networking tool. Getting to
Mm,
know people throughout the community, people can see. It definitely feels like there's a lot of companies that are on Twitter and they are looking at what's the new weird things people are making, what's interesting. Like it doesn't fully convert to players, but it converts to commissions. Like if you're someone that is looking, hoping to be hired by companies, just start posting things on Twitter that you think it looks cool. Like if it looks good, it is good. And you just and that continuous kind of output will show a company that like, oh, I'm interested in having him do this for me or things like that. Where and it's really important to be posting that, at least for me, because I get asked a lot to do commissions. Unfortunately, I can't do all of them, and so often I send them to other people that I know or I've seen stuff on Twitter. And so the more active you are in that community, it's a little scary to post your stuff. Both you can be worried that someone might steal some ideas, and in that regard, kind of just be careful. Like post has knowing that, and so like knowing what you're going to be doing, as well as people might just judge that's not good enough. But I mean, for me, that's originally why I kind of started kind of as an anonymous, just TomJank, in a way that I just wanted no risk and no nervousness at all when I'm posting things. If it's bad, it's bad, whatever, it's fine.
mm,
And so that kind of really helped me to just start posting, and that posting becomes kind of a muscle, like almost a habit, where both in the posting and thinking of things that will do well on Twitter. That kind of really surprised me because I've never done like content creation or any sort of that aspect of things.
mm.
You're like, it feels like a muscle that you're recognizing things and you're like, oh, I think that would do well, even if it's not the
Yeah.
most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, that's a great call. I know, at least from my experience in the social side, um, the it's really the question of like when you think about how a person uses the platform you're posting on, and what they're trying to accomplish. At the end of the day, a lot of us are trying to accomplish, like, it sounds so silly, but it's like looking cool or being helpful or adding value. So if you're posting something that, if you were to see it and then you would immediately want to reshare it because you'd want to show whether it's other creators how cool this thing is, whether it's educating other people on something, whether it's being one of the channels on that platform that's quick to reshare or quick to post or quick to comment and add value or add insights. That kind of stuff usually will lead you in the right direction. But then as far as I know, I see some people in chat saying, oh, I'm scared for people to take ideas. I feel like there's definitely other strategies you can add into what you're doing, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like, say, Tom, if someone was creating an island with and they have a lot of new things that they've developed, using different pathways and alternative routes to do it. One avenue you could probably do is launching the island, and of course, using the channels that you would use to market to players appropriately, whether that's like YouTube, TikTok, things like that. And then kind of having those little spotlights, like how, I've seen a lot of you do of here's how I made this, here's how I made this, here's how I made this. Or even just like, look what I made, because an island being out is cool, but if you can't actually see what cool stuff is inside of it, it's just like anything on the internet, right? We're all trying to market like it's almost like you're window shopping, walking in front of an actual window, but you can't. You have to see inside the thing a different way, on social marketing. So it feels like there's definitely strategic ways you can still show your prowess in the tools that you're making the cool stuff. But I'm curious to hear what people think on that.
if I mean, if you're worried about someone taking your stuff, and you got like a very unique idea for the island, sometimes what you could do is release the island, then start, at least for Twitter, in regards to showing people to the community how things work and like to spotlight aspects of it to show your own like prowess. in UEFN, you could do just after the fact videos of behind the scenes are like, oh, this is a cool thing of my map. And it can also be sort of a marketing thing where people are like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to see how that works in game. Like, does that work that way? Like, it'll make at least the people around curious for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Cool. That's good to hear. And then let's see. Wow, we have so many questions. I know we're cruising through this. A lot of great information already. So thank you so much, Tom. Um, so we were talking about your verse expertise, and as a verse focus creator, how would you describe the learning curve for verse scripting, especially for someone who's coming from like a non-coding background? Are there any resources or strategies that helped you master it in particular?
Um, for me to give a background of my my experience coming into UEFN, I wasn't a formal coder. I had the programming experience that I had previously was learning the basics in one or two university classes, C++, a Python class, but mostly all of my programming had been to make little tiny tools in Autodesk Maya. That was probably the majority that I have done, where I'm making little tools that just make my life easier. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to learn the aspects of programming that because to automate things to make little processes that I found tedious,
Mm.
to just to be able to do it faster. And so bringing that into UEFN, it definitely helped to have that background because when it comes to programming, I think for a non-verse or non-program, non-coder, someone who doesn't know how to coding, the first step is to understand kind of just the language and logic of how programming works. Like you could learn any language and kind of learn this basis of just how to go through and think logically through your programming. Each language, of course, have different little rules and nuances, but at the end of the day, if you understand how to like read the words, you can at least start. Verse, I think there's a lot of great content out there on YouTube and tutorials, because the one thing I like about verse that I find better than learning most other programming languages, in verse you can actively see exactly what is showing up on the screen. So you do something, and it shows up on the screen in this like 3D object that you're messing with, or you can have specific video game goals like I want to move this
Mm.
thing left to right. That's keeping it simple at the start, and doing that will help you so much immensely. The funny thing
Mm.
about verse though as well is that I've seen a lot of programmers come from other areas and really struggle with verse for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things to do, whether you're new or an old programmer, is to just start making stuff and publishing a map. Make something and publish a map, because 90% of the verse problems that occur are when you publish and you realize you didn't think of something, or something's breaking, there's a bug somewhere that isn't quite documented places. And really the only way you're
Mm.
going to learn that process is by publishing. And it's
Mm.
the first time you publish something, it's not going to be fun. It'll be a little rough, which is
Right.
why I keep it simple. Make something in three
Yeah.
days and make it. One of my for my first project, I made in a day and I published it because
Mm.
I didn't want to worry about,
Mm.
along with learning process, I also didn't want to like build myself up like, oh, I'm gonna make a map in 6 months. Everyone's seen my warm-ups. It's gonna be the most crazy thing. I didn't want to build that expectation to like have that pressure. Instead, I'm like, I'm gonna just keep making stuff that's
Mm.
fun, and that at least try to be fun, and release it, and be, because I think I would start to get paralyzed in wanting it to be perfect, to really
Yeah.
represent me and everything. And so by making kind of these janky game jam quick little things, I was able to kind of tamp down perfectionism and just kind of focus on learning to publish and finishing a game, because that in the end is way harder than making something perfect.
Absolutely. That we've definitely heard that before in other ways as well. I know in these talks. I think I remember immature and maybe even mustard placing like just publish, like just get it out, hit publish, try it, keep going. Like, and I hear that in all creative industries. I feel like even with like when you're, wanting to author a book. And I feel like that relates to what you said too, Tom, with anything creative, whether it is a book, a game, a a video, anything, just try your first one, get it out there because that's probably going to be the scariest. Um, and you're probably going to run into the most issues right off the bat in the first one because it's a huge learning curve to take on a new thing, especially in the world of technology that we have today. So those are wonderful, wonderful tips. I think you might have touched on this, Tom, but correct me if there's anything else you want to add here. I was going to ask you what a common mistake is that you've seen or oversight that you've seen other creators make when using Verse and how they could best avoid it if possible.
I think the biggest problem I see with programmers and thing with Verse is people just desperately want it to be something else, or desperately wish there was another thing from another language in it, and they try to kind of force Verse to do it, and then it breaks, and then they're confused at why it broke. And it's sometimes it's better to work simple with what Verse gives you, and then kind of build out from there. I think works way better than trying to make it something that it's not. If it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's just things in other languages that we just don't have yet, or won't have because it's just a different kind of language. You can't expect it to just work the way other languages work.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that's good advice. That's good. And as it keeps evolving, we'll have more and more resources and different opportunities for avenues for sure. Um And then, we're only halfway through questions. You guys killed it. We have a lot of great questions here. One of the ones that stands out too that I wanted to make sure. I feel like we've already met this year, but it says, "Is your code truly as janky as your name suggests?"
um Sometimes definitely I mean, the quicker the map, the more janky it is. I don't know, I really like that that's my brand, because if it works really well out of the gate, and
Mm.
people will be surprised. There's no expectation of perfection when it comes to hiring
Yeah.
TomJank. It will work, might be a little weird, but at the end of the day it will work eventually.
As it has today. Look, we've been able to have
There
a
you
whole conversation in the past 10 minutes. So that's really
go.
good. We're on the upswing. I did also notice someone asked, could you elaborate more on your marketing kind of background that you learned in previous roles and things like that. But I do also want to point out when it comes to great branding, I know there's quite a few of you in here that do have wonderful branding or have wonderful, uh names overall, or you have a real clear cut vision of who you are, your brand voice, everything. But I do want to give a shout out to TomJank for having a very, very solid example of a marketing branding name in the community as a developer. I know your career is but is starting out in this specific industry with only how long is it now, Tom? How many years has it been in this
uh,
career specifically?
with UEFN,
Yeah.
since UEFN came out, so about a year and a few months.
Okay, yeah. So year and a few months, but your branding, at least from all the experience that I've seen and had in the space, is killing it because you keep saying, of course, here's what you expect when you work with me. Here's what you expect when we work together, when I create something, when you see something I've made. And the only reason we expect those things is because you've done such a great job with your branding overall. And that includes everything from like your logo, your brand voice, how you present yourself online, the things that you show off, the activities you have, and the content that you make, and of course your islands. So I just want to give a shout out to you on that. And also if someone's looking for inspiration on like what does it mean to have a brand that really, really, speaks to what it gives off and what to expect from a person, like you do a wonderful job. And I also want to say I know we had this talk with Immature too. Hi Immature. And I feel like, even though in some ways, like jank can be seen as like a negative thing, you've almost like rebranded the word jank to where jank is super, super fun, like, and experimental and unique. And so I just wanted to applaud you on that for sure.
Thanks. I mean, I'm truly honored, just like in general, with the way the community has reacted to the stuff. Like, I'm so appreciative in like the love and support I felt throughout posting warmups. It was wild to me. I had the opportunity to go to GDC, and like how many people recognized me. there was a moment for me that was like truly like, dang, I am so honored and my branding's working. And it kind of just like was kind of like a solidifying. It's like, okay, I'm going in the right direction with what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Where when during the discovery talk, they said that they're like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just
Oh,
it felt really good. And it just was like confirming after going through like the layoff and switching career and things like that, where it's like, yes, I am working in the right direction for what I'm doing. I'm doing something right for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh, let's see here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, here's a good question I'll throw in. We do have a lot to get through, but curious, this is a great question, so thanks for pinging it. A lot of creators are intimidated by verse because they don't come from a coding background and would rather try to get similar results with devices. What are some simple things to learn that can't be achieved with devices that would be good icebreaker for those creators, or something that can save memory by replacing devices in a simple way? So I guess, forgive me if this, to distill it down, curious, are we asking like what some aspects of verse or codes or scripts that you would recommend right off the bat, Tom, for someone who's trying to get into coding that really are life changing?
Oh man, that's tough. It's because I don't have that. I didn't work in creative before. Like I
Right.
started and creative was just kind of, oh, here are some other tools that I can use. Oh wait, I can't do this in verse. I have to do it. I have to thread it through the devices. It was
Yeah.
really interesting to learn that. And so it's tough to say what, because for me, I always just say pick a problem, keep it simple, and just try to figure out how to do it. I think a couple things, I guess, to just off the
Cool.
top of my head, I recommend trying to learn how to handle teams with verse. There can be some
Mm-hmm.
issues with like spawning in places, like learn how check up their team, change their team, do something because they're a certain team. That can be a good practice to start. Something you can't really do with creative devices, I guess, could be like, I don't know, setting materials of props. There's
Mm-hmm.
a new update that we can do a lot more with that. Might be good to start kind of learning if you're more creative that are into like more material stuff. That might be something cool to be able to learn how to swap and edit a materials parameters through verse.
Cool.
And there's recently been a few things. I think that's the things that I can think of right now. I might think of more. Maybe I'll tweet some ideas of like what's some simple exercises. Maybe that's a
Mm.
good idea for a tweet. Thank you. I'll
Ooh,
write that
that is a
down.
good idea. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Curious, but yeah, Tom came from like straight into UEFN, so it was a little harder, but I think that stuff does all sound good. Especially like you said, when you mentioned there's a problem, try to solve it. It really goes down to like the literal definition of experimenting. So looking up the experimental process, how you do that in any context. You could even just start there with certain things and teach yourself little things along the way. But the problem being like, here's what I'm trying to learn today, or here's something that I think would be a core, aspect of a creation I want to make. That's the problem. How do I learn how to do that? And then just starting breaking it down into probably smaller questions, smaller problems, right? Smaller things you want to solve and experiment with, and starting that way.
Yeah.
Oh, we have
Also,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. Also, there's a lot of ways to do shortcuts. You
Mm,
could just be like you can. I really recommend like looking at snippets and everything, and using whatever
cool.
resources you can to kind of learn about things. But at the end of the day, the best thing for you in learning this language is by typing everything out yourself and breaking it, messing up, fixing it. Those kinds of things will give you the both the learning the language as well as learning the problem solving needed. If you start using other tools and maybe AI stuff, I personally I just don't recommend things like that because you learn from scratch. It'll take longer and it'll be rough, but you
Mm,
will learn the foundation. It'll prep you for so many new skills all the way going forward.
so cool. Thank you so much. Another great question for you. You released Slap Fights Fall Guys recently. What is your favorite hand slash animal to use?
I know who asked this question. Um, I think for me, I really like the cow is my favorite. I find it really funny because I think we added a little sound to moo when you
I
hit
was gonna
people and
ask.
things like that. That's pretty
Yes.
great. We had yeah, me. So that was a collaboration between me, uh, Trick Tiger, and Sloth. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun building it, and it was something that we'd been talking for a long time about. We've got to make something for the Fall Guys, and
Mm.
and we've just had so many ideas. It was like, let's do an only up, and it's like everyone is going to do an only up, like literally everyone. And so, like a week before, we're like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. And I think for something I'd recommend, like if like another good way to learn verse is collaborate with someone who also knows verse,
Mm.
and then they can give you kind of little tasks, or you can just look at their code and understand and ask questions. Like collaboration is a huge benefit, especially if you're a solo creator, to just
Mm.
collaborate with other people. It can be scary, things can go wrong, don't get me wrong, be careful, be so careful. Um, but it's worth it when you find people. For sure.
Mm. Do you have any tips? I know we touched a bit on that with like networking on Twitter X, but is there anything else that you recommend for getting into the world and starting to collab with others in this space? I know, of course, like Tom said, be safe, make sure you do your due diligence. This is the internet. You never know what's out there, but like what kind of tips do you have for making it happen with people who you really do want to collaborate with?
For me, it's tough. I was pretty lucky in the way that I started right when the UEFN began, and so there's kind of this opening for me to kind of fit my way in to like become kind of more known and be posting and things like that. I generally recommend collaborating with people you've like talked to over the internet. You see them posting a lot. For me, a true test of if this person is like kind of trustworthy in the space is, are they posting cool stuff they're making online? Because to me, that shows a passion that they care about it. They're not looking to like steal something from, like they're looking to build and they want to have like fun doing it. And so for me, that's super important. And so just in general, I see people helping other people out on discords and things, like being friendly online and being kind in like intense situations, things like that. You just start to get to know people in that way, because it can be stressful making a game. And so those are some ways that I think is a good way to just kind of trying to check yourself on whether you're working with the right people. And sometimes you got to be okay with leaving a group. Sometimes, like, it's scary and it always feels kind of bad, but setting expectations and moving around when it needs to be, sometimes that has to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. Um, here's a great one too. As someone joining UEFN with the knowledge you have prior from the other industries, what's been your biggest hurdle in the UGC space? I know you talked about time differences and like how fast paced it is, but curious if there's any other like hurdles that kind of come up that are pretty big there.
I guess for me, coming from animation, it's just thinking about the audience.
Mm.
You really have to think about your audience. Take the time to play the games that are on Discovery. Even if you don't like the games that are on Discovery, um, try to play them with the thought in mind. Why do people enjoy playing this? And sometimes you can find really good things to take out of it, that even if it's not even the same game, like what is the core aspect of these games that people enjoy? Is it because it's teaching them really quick? Is it a more basic thing where they just go shoot, and even if you don't love them, even if you're not a huge fan, you still should understand the basis of the ecosystem,
Mm.
like whether it
Hmm.
be the thumbnails, the maps themselves. Just taking the time to like watching Twitter and reading this, things like that, will help you gain that knowledge, understand more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess it all comes down to as well the goals that you're trying to achieve. Like if you are, if you're looking to target, a specific kind of player base or the player base that, we're seeing for certain things, for certain genres, for certain islands, like to your point exactly, like, yeah, even if it's something where like, oh, I usually prefer story driven, choose your own adventure games, but I see, like, I want to try and target this audience. What, let me play these games and then note down what kind of things that you're seeing in terms of what makes that feel good. Like, why do people enjoy it? I know when we talked to Fode before, they did that a lot. They do that a lot in their Discord with the community that they've built after their first one that they launched. So and that seems to help them a lot when they just look to expand in the space, kind of go into a popular genre, but they want to make it their own. They've found a lot of success doing that as well. But it also depends on your goals. If your goals are also just to make something for you and your friends, or if you're a content creator for
Absolutely.
your community, I guess that would be totally, you might be looking about going about it a different way in terms of learning that stuff. But that is extremely great advice. Let's see.
Like,
We only have a
got,
few minutes. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, you're
No, you're good.
to set your expectations. Like, it's at the beginning and know what you're kind of getting into. Like, you hope that your player driven, super unique game is gonna just through it all and just make you $1 million. Hope that, of course, like that sometimes you just have to set your expectations. It might be only people that play because I'm making that's out of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a risk you're taking, and so kind of helping you under patient can really keep you healthy.
Thank you. I feel so bad. People in chat were saying they were like, he hasn't cut out in so long, and then we lost you
Did
like
I
almost
lose
entirely.
it again? No.
Yeah, but it's okay. We're almost at the end of our call, but we do have a few more great questions. Let me see. I'm gonna pick out one more, and fingers crossed that the internet will hang out for us. Um, let's see. Let's see. Hmm. I guess, I feel like you've touched on a lot of these too, which is cool.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I
Oh, did you
for a
lose
little
me?
bit. Can you hear
You
me?
lost me?
I
Did you
lost
lost?
you. Okay.
I was just looking for the last question to
Okay.
kind of end today.
Yes.
Um, let's see, let's see. Chat, do we want a question that's about advice for creators, or do we want a question about his experience and what was like the best and worst janky experiment he's had? You guys get to vote for the last question. Advice or insight on his janky experiences? Best to worst? Two? Insight? Advice? Insight? Two? It's a oh. Okay, okay. All right, looks like insight and advice kind of won out. We'll try to get to two if we can. For those in the audience, who are, I guess, looking to take things to the next level. And I know you've talked about experimenting and stuff as well, Tom. But what is like the best piece of advice you can offer based on your journey so far? I know you touched on marketing, networking, um, the actual development process, things like that. But if you were looking to help level someone up, what is the biggest advice you would say?
Um, I think for me,
Oh,
that's hard to get it all in one advice. I think for me is you got to learn how to fail. I think is one of the important things. What to do when something fails and being okay when it does. In whatever you're doing does not equate to being failure. Sometimes things don't work out and you get laid from Pixar and you that's your um but you can always learn from the experience and you can surprise uh, literally had not played in an hour of Fortnite for open and April. So now I'm here. So, like you know
Oh, I love the community's being so supportive,
Cut out
Tom.
right
We
in there.
we're
Yes.
we're hearing like every sixth word, but I got you. Okay, so to translate, I think
Oh
Tom
no.
said I think Tom said he said like like even if you fail at something, like go do it. If you fail, that's still a learning. You can still use it to succeed. You're gonna run into bumps. You might get laid off suddenly or things like that. And that's troubling, but just keep at it, keep going and it'll work out. And then you said you didn't even play that much Fortnite when you got into it, but look at you
Yeah,
now
yeah.
and you're killing it. So I think I was that about it.
You nailed it. That was it
Hell yeah.
exactly.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to get the one last question because it seemed like I worded that weird and everyone voted for the other question as well. So let's try and do that and then I will let you go, Tom. What is one janky experiment you've done that didn't quite work out as planned? That was like real jank, too jank that sticks out in your mind. That's an interesting story. And what did you learn from it? And then I'd also love to hear like what one worked out so good. You were like, wow, I'm really shocked
Oh
by that. I'm really
no.
impressed.
Um, I think the experiment that I tried to work out, I tried like the photo saving mechanic,
Oh yeah.
and I built out this kind of weird system where you would was too convoluted and didn't work out. Like it just
Oh.
didn't. It never quite worked. Like it was too many sequencers, too many didn't work out, and it was sad. But doing that, one of my favorite weird things, it actually came from that was
Ooh.
where I created the bird watching mini game from Dream Job Tycoon. Came from that sort of me searching for Pokemon Snap
Oh,
ideas,
cool.
where you
Yeah.
could zoom your like camera focus with the new orbit devices.
Mm.
Um, and so that was probably I love that mechanic. It's so fun, especially the dumb birds. And so I definitely want to use that in future maps. But definitely one of my favorites that came from the warm ups.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing. I have another question from chat. I'll pull real quick. As a quick one, Tom, can you please tell me what is the hardest part in verse coding? Is it just learning a new language overall, Tom, would you say?
I personally think the hardest part of verse programming is that you have to thread it through you have to thread it through everything else, and that we don't have a scene graph yet, and that's what I really want. And so that's why I'm really here is to ask for more scene graph.
It's all out in the open now. Now we know. Now
The
we're
plan
working on
has
it.
worked.
Absolutely. We hear you all. I'm glad to hear that you're
And
excited for
font
it.
sizes, scene
Oh,
graph
oh,
and font size. Those are the
you know
two.
what? Same. As an accessibility advocate, I also want font sizes. Yes. And
Yes,
I we've also
yes.
heard your asks for localization text and things like that. And um
Oh,
having the
absolutely.
opportunity for that. All right, well we'll end our show. I'm gonna add two things. Sometimes we forget to do these, so I'm gonna add them. First of all, if there's another person you would like to see on our fireside, let us know in chat. If there's someone else you've been wanting to see come on, no pressure to them, but I would love to know. I like to make it part of the community's request. Now, not everyone will be down, but feel free to throw a name in the hat. And we'll do our best to see if we can get them on. And then also want to throw Ryan X. Yeah, that was the last one we heard a lot of too. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Oh yeah, Spanky. Spanky's a good one. Ryan X. Jerome. Okay, cool. Spanky. Oh, the entire team. We had them on once before, Gatlin, but maybe they'll come. Maybe we can get them to come for a fireside to just take questions. That'd be kind of cool about just things in general. Let us know. Dragon, yeah, Dragon's in the hat too. Dragon's on the list. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I had a good amount of insight here. Mayapple. Okay, cool. I'll go back through and make a list and do some outreach too. And then also want to end the stream with some rapid fire questions for Mr. TomJank
Oh
here,
no.
since we didn't get to pull a whole lot from chat because we had so many good ones. We didn't even get through all the big ones. But any rapid fire questions for Tom? Cats or dogs? Uh, UK or USA? Oh, UK or USA? Good question.
USA. Sorry.
Uh,
Our
I'm
favorite
actually
cheater.
surprised by that one.
Internet
Yes.
provider
Oh my.
is Xfinity. It is Xfinity's. Well, it's
I
also
think
an old building, so that probably.
it's so funny that you answered that, but the whole time it was robotic. What are the odds, of course? Favorite internet. No, we heard Xfinity though. We did hear it. Favorite thing about UFN. Ooh, good one.
The Jank.
The Jank. That's right.
The Jank. It's
Um,
job security.
bicycle or unicycle? I think he said unicycle, but I don't know. We'll vote for unicycle. Do you think he said bicycle or unicycle?
Bicycle. Bicycle.
We're just gonna start doing polls.
Translate the
Ooh,
robot voice.
favorite pizza.
I'm pretty lazy and lame, so I love pepperoni pizza. Little Caesars pepperoni pizza.
Oh my God, Little Caesars. Wow, really
Little
throwing it in
Caesars.
there.
It's the
Wow.
best cheap pizza.
Stop.
Everyone wants to get
Okay.
expensive cheap pizza. That's the best cheap pizza.
Someone said, "Bruh." Ooh, what is the hardest thing in
Great.
UEFN? That's a good question. Oh, we're losing you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Um,
Okay, you're there. We found you.
no, there's enough time in the day. I need 24 hours. I need more than 24 hours. I don't have
That's
enough
fair.
time.
That's fair. What's your favorite game of all time?
That's so difficult. I think I'm gonna have to say Minecraft.
Ooh,
Probably because it can be like 90 other games, so it's kind of cheating. But I really like playing mod packs, and I've actually started doing that again.
that's
If
fair.
you've noticed from my Twitter that I've been posting random pictures about the Minecraft mod packs I'm playing.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Okay. Oh, super cereal.
Oh, a cereal. I love cereal.
Oh my God, I do too. Sunlight or rain?
I actually really like rain. Like I love overcast, but I love swimming. So it's kind of it's if sunlight if I can swim. That's what I'd say.
All right, and last question because we're getting there in the season. Pumpkin bread or gingerbread cookies?
Oh, gingerbread cookies,
Oh,
absolutely, and
dang.
100%.
Now I want gingerbread cookies. My goodness. All right. Well, thank you so much for. Oh, okay. Wait, one last question. I'm sorry. I'm keeping you. What is the
It's
origin
fun.
of your username? Because you also had that
Oh,
question here. And
right. Yes. So originally it was Tom Grinch because I'm kind of a Grinch when it comes to Christmas stuff. With
oh,
like my friends and things.
mm-hmm.
Like I do not like Christmas music before Thanksgiving. And so I just Tom was kind of just a random name pulled out of a hat. But then I didn't if I wanted to brand, I didn't want to worry about Grinch being some weird copyright and worrying about that. And so and from at that point I'd already been using the word jank a lot and that seemed to have
Nice.
stuck. And so I just switched it to TomJank.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the lore. This
Yeah.
this stream has been all about the lore. Actually, it's been about a bunch of stuff. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you Discord for participating. Thank you for dropping in your questions. Thank you Unreal Engine community. Thank you UEFN and creative community. We're so appreciative of you being here and chatting with us. If you're interested in doing a fireside chat, you can always reach out to me. If you want to throw someone's name in the hat for doing a fireside chat, please do. We're also interested in bringing on people that aren't just creators. Like maybe we could have, people in the industry that you think would be really helpful to interview. Maybe we could make it happen. We could rebrand and have a different kind of fireside chat too as an offering. So just nothing is off the table. Feel free and shoot us any ideas you have because I'd love to make, content that's super helpful for you. So we really
And
appreciate it.
even like the Moisty Media people would be fun with
Ooh.
that's kind of in the space but unique on that front.
Really good call out, Tom. Yeah, absolutely. You could do Moisty. I hear about them a lot. That's a great idea. And they have a lot to share, I'm sure. But thank you all so much again. Have a wonderful rest of your
Thanks so
day.
much.
Thanks for putting up with our jank, and
Sorry
thank you,
for the
Tom, for
robot.
bringing the jank. No, thank you. It was super
That's
fun.
it's what you get when you sign up with me.
That's fair. That's why I knew what I was going into, and it was exactly how it was everything, everything. Well, thanks so much, Tom. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for all the time you put into this and for helping and participating. And thanks, community, for showing up. And I guess we'll see you on the next fireside.